Welcome as we move into Series 2, Experiences 11 to 20, where each of these experiences are about one aspect of my very own stories that interweave. And in Experience 12, the aspect we deal with is of feeling patterns repeated. Here we have a mountain. Just let that mountain speak to you, if it will, or just let the image soak into your being. In the following 10-year-old story, I give a personal example of a sensory memory that impacted on me and, as metaphor, became the first shovelful of a mountain of inner sensory energy. A 10-year-old story, part 1. When I was 10, 3 frightening things happened in the one night. I was directed by an adult to solve the problem of getting help. Even as a 10-year-old, I knew that that solution would not work. All on my own, I arrived at a solution that did work. I was deeply thrilled to be acting as an adult and successful at solving the problem all on my own. These feelings grabbed my inner attention, and so the first shovelful of sensory memory to make this sensory energy mountain emerged. So, I'm inviting you to pause and be present to the inner landscape of this you in your skin that is here today. In your mind's eye, let this mountain here be a metaphor for one mountain of sensory memory energy within you, e.g., life's a struggle, you feel energized, there's more to life, I have a zest for living, etc., etc. Etc., etc. is as long as each individual, as long a list as each individual. Now, backtrack and picture how the first shovelful of memory that made your inner sensory energy mountain arrived. Then, picture shovelful after shovelful of memory being added until you have your inner sensory energy mountain as it is for you now. Rest a little in the reality of having your inner sensory energy mountain reveal itself. When the time is right for you, come back to the energy of the room. Perhaps gift yourself with time to write or speak how this quiet time was for you, and to note any tingles, clangs or insights that emerged in the pause or right now. I'm giving you time now to remember specifically a story of yours that still has strong memories of your feelings at the time of happening. Feel the feelings you had then. 10-year-old story, part 2. After this event of solving the problem, anything that presented itself as a problem or with some experience that I didn't like, e.g. hurt, confusion, rawness, rejection, anger, down-putting, sense of inadequacy, vulnerability, and such like, had a go into action and solve the problem reaction in me, which came to be spontaneous and instantaneous. Each repetition was another shovelful of memory added to this sensory energy mountain, and the pattern was becoming more spontaneously automatic. In this way, the set of feeling experiences in this one event got to be repeated in similar situations. It wasn't long before this set of feelings became a pattern of behaviour that was really how I was surviving in a world that I perceived as being imperfect. A sensory energy mountain building as I continued to live into this particular pattern of behaviour and repeated set of feelings. Now I'm speaking of it as a universal pattern. In human experience, life is never perfect. In this 10-year-old story, parts 1 and 2, a frightened 10-year-old child knew that an adult solution to a problem would not work. And these are outcomes. Successfully solving the problem generated certain positive feelings that grabbed inner attention. If the problem hadn't been solved, negative feelings would probably have been generated that would also have grabbed inner attention. A second point, at the universal level. Whether positive or negative, feelings in one of our very own stories that grab our inner attention are likely to be repeated in other and or similar of our very own stories. And so, I am naming such like mountains of built-up energy in repeated patterns as a survival strategy. So facts about a survival strategy. There is a building up of stored experience outcomes in my well of sensory memory. And this build-up of stored experience then becomes a survival strategy pattern to cope with my personally unique experience of an imperfect world. And this survival strategy is then how each person relates with the outer world. And in this series and experience 12, I'm naming that outer world stance. There's time for you now to name feeling reactions in a story of yours that have come to be a repeated set of feelings and is now building, if not already, a survival strategy. My summary. Layers of feelings experienced in every one of our very own stories are stored in our well of sensory memory. There are times when these same feelings resurface in our very own repeated stories. At spontaneous reaction stage, they become, possibly not yet named in conscious awareness, they become a pattern of behaviour, which I'm calling a survival strategy, as we cope with what we personally experience as an imperfect world. In his poem Seamless, from his book Wilds of the Heart, Noel Davis has brought into poetry the part of our imperfect world when there's a lack of harmony between our conscious and less conscious layers of feelings. Seamless. There is a place in our hearts, close as our seeing, near as our choosing, restless for resolve, patient as let be, where meditation and life merge, and all that's keeping us apart is calling us to be at one. And here's a strategy for this particular interweaving story aspect. And it's about noticing more the feelings and patterns underpinning my very own interweaving stories. Gift yourself with spending 7 to 10 minutes in the evening inviting one of your very own stories of the day to emerge. Invite feelings and patterns to reveal themselves. Gently take note of, and perhaps speak or write what surfaces. The next morning, gift yourself with spending 1 to 2 minutes resonating with and holding yourself gently around any inner energy that is residue from the night before. Has Experience 12 revealed more to you of your survival strategy in coping with an imperfect world? So Experience 11 was about layers of feeling reactions in my very own stories that are stored. Experience 12 pointed out how a first pattern of feeling reactions is repeated and becomes a survival strategy to cope with an imperfect world. So, how do survival strategies impinge on life? A possibility is named in Experience 13. I thank you for having been a part of and listening to what inner invitations are yours through being present to Experience 12.